Hey Adam,
Okay, there you are. Hey,
how you doing?
okay, good.
All the baby stuff in the back, like crazy. All right, so just struck 11:30, so I guess we'll just we got a couple of people in so far. We'll just let a few more come in. Hi Suzanne and Linda. um, so all right, so everybody's starting to come in. Are you gonna you're gonna share your screen when we're gonna get like once
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
ready?
yeah.
Okay, cool. I got we're recording this as well, so I'll crop out this part in the beginning when I send over the recording.
Okay,
Um, but yeah, I mean, we're pretty much hitting 11:30, so I figured we could start with introductions. Thank you all who have joined on time, and some are going to be coming in, and they can see the introductions in the recording. My name is Donato D'Andrio, president of Compete Now Web Design. Uh, I'm here with Adam. He's going to be talking about some of the best design practices for nonprofits. He's a great graphic designer, does web design, print design, logos, just great work, very responsive, and we've known each other for years, and he's been a great partner for us. I'll let Adam kind of build on his background a little bit, and then probably shortly right after that, we'll get into the presentation. And then I'll just give a quick note about questions and stuff like that that come up once the attendees finish joining in.
okay, great. So yes, so thanks for everyone for joining today. My name is Adam Katz, and I've been a graphic designer for 20-something years now, and I started out as a print designer, and I eventually got into doing web design, and I do sort of a mix of the two these days. Uh, and Donato and I partner a bunch, and we work with a lot of nonprofits. And my company is called Atomic Design, and I'd like to share my screen now.
Yep. So Adam's going to start sharing. We'll get into the presentation. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat. So if you want to chat questions, you can, and I can dictate them to Adam. If you'd like to speak, there's a little raise hand button that you all should have. You can click raise hand and allows you to speak and ask your question. All right. And yeah, Adam, you can start sharing, and I'll just keep
Okay,
an eye
cool.
on the
Yeah,
hand.
so I've generally done this presentation live, so I haven't done it through the Zoom. So yeah,
We'll
it'll
give it
be a
a
little
shot.
bit. Yeah, but yeah, definitely. If anyone has questions during the presentation, please raise your hand or type in the question, and we will have time for Q&A after the presentation as well.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen now. Okay.
All right, I can see it.
Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. So again, welcome. Thanks for attending. This is Best Design Practices for Nonprofits. So I'm basically going to share, as I said, I've been working a lot with nonprofits. I've been working as a designer for many years, and I'm going to share a number of things that I learned and that I was thinking of in terms of, just my experience out there. And I think hopefully you'll get some good tips from today. The first thing I wanted to do was one thing. I had sort of this presentation just with design tips, and then of course all this crazy stuff happened with the coronavirus, and a lot of things have shifted. So I was thinking a little bit about that, and I wanted to sort of talk about that a little bit. So this whole presentation I'm going to be talking about why design matters for nonprofits and why effective design can really make a difference for nonprofits. So, but one thing I was thinking about is why why it really matters now. And I think thinking about it, I think it matters now more than ever because everyone is online now. Everyone is pretty much in front of their computer, doing these kind of Zoom webinars, checking out websites. So your online presence is really important, and a well-designed site is really important as well. And here's a few thoughts I had around it. So you want to stay connected with your audience, for one. That's really important to, to make sure that you're connected with your everyone that's interested in your nonprofit or your organization. You want to keep your audience informed. There's a lot going on now, a lot of things for people to think about. They want to know if you're, still in business, if you're still, yeah, and yeah, just
Yeah.
you want to know if you're still out there. So, and of course, fundraising doesn't stop and donations don't stop. So you want to continue your fundraising and donation efforts in these times. You want to inform ways people can help and they can get involved. It may not just be to help you and your organization, it may just be ways to help in general. So it's a good way to communicate that. You want to continue to raise awareness for your mission, of course. And you want to be able to support your community, whether it's through message boards or just a way of outreach in the community. And of course, whether it's a nonprofit or any other business these days, you want to be able to host online events and be, because that seems to be, even when all this craziness ends, we're still going to need, I think Zoom calls are going to be sort of the way of the future now. And, I've already been, I'm sure many of you have been to like online events now. That's sort of the way it's going, so you can even have an event that was canceled online. So website is really going to be important in that respect. Okay, so, and just want to talk about a few ways why, again, why good design is really essential for nonprofits. So great design is a foundational building block to success. Okay, so really nonprofits are focused, and really the important thing about nonprofits is your mission. So you want to be able to further your mission and inspire people to take action and support your cause. A compelling message and a strong design will help your organization to be successful. As a nonprofit, your website is critical to your organization's long-term success. So again, now more than ever, even if all this craziness wasn't happening, a website is really important for reasons I just mentioned, and as well as a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about today. So a strong online presence can help you raise money, engage new and existing donors, attract supporters, create media opportunities, and spread the word about your mission. So all those things are really important for nonprofits. As such, your website needs to be designed with its unique objectives in mind. So visitors, including donors, potential partners, and the media, are inspired to take action and get involved. So, your website, you really want to inspire people if you're asking them to donate, if you're talking about your mission, you want to create ways that's going to really inspire and engage people to really think about what you do and why what you do matters. And the last one is something that's pretty much for whether you're a nonprofit or whether you're for any other type of organization or commercial business. I think this one is really important. What is the cost of having a site that turns off visitors? So you've all been to websites that, you're just like really frustrated. You're trying to figure out, how the navigation works. What is it they do? Like, I can't get to anything. And it looks like, if you're on your phone maybe, and it looks like a mess on the phone. So you're out of there. You're just going to be like, what? I can't deal with the site. I'm just going to get off the site and never to return. So, having a site that doesn't work is really going to be a real turnoff to visitors, and it's really going to have a very negative impact. Okay. So the next part, I broke the next into 3 parts I want to talk about. So the first part is effective communication. And this of course is really important, how you communicate who you are and what you do. And everything from your visuals to your layout is going to is a part of the way you communicate. So, and of course it's visual communication, both visual communication and your messaging. So those are all really important. So one thing on a lot of sites that I see, it's like you go on the site and you're trying to figure out who they are and what they do. So you want to clearly communicate your mission statement, your purpose, and who you are. So that really needs to be front and center. It needs to be short, it needs to be concise, and it needs to be impactful. Okay. So we're going to take a look in a few minutes about at a sample site that Donato and I did together, and we'll take a look at some of these things that I'm talking about. But I just want to go through the bullet points first. So your organization's mission and message should be front and center. Who you are, again, who you are, what you do, and why what you do matters. These are all really critical. So your mission, again, your mission is really critical to who you are, and it's really critical to your message and delivering your message through the website. And the other thing is, a lot of the stuff I'm talking about is, most of it, I'm talking about websites, but a lot of this could be applies to your marketing materials, your anything, any of your outreach. Again, your mission statement, your message, all this stuff should be front and center for anything you do. Okay, so again, think about your messaging. What are you trying to communicate to your visitors? What are you trying to communicate about your organization? Okay, so this is for any site out there. You want organized and clear navigation and page layout. Make it easy for visitors to find the information they need. If they can't find it, their buttons aren't working, they're getting frustrated, it's it's just gonna drive them away from the site. So you want to make sure they can find what they're looking for and that it's clear and easy. So another one here that's really important is calls to action. So you want calls to action for, think about what it is you want someone to do. That you want them to call you, you want them to sign up for your mailing list, you want them to go to a certain part of your website. So you want to make sure you have clear calls to action on the website. And again, actually, even if you're sending out like a postcard, for example, when you deliver your message, what is it you want them to do? So you want to make sure that you deliver a call to action through whatever you're sending them. So good visuals, I would say great visuals, draw people into your cause and missions. That's really important too, especially for myself as a designer. You want to make sure you have compelling images and really impactful images. And I'll talk more about that coming up. Okay, so the last thing is prominent eye-catching donation buttons. So this time I'm going to jump into our sample site here. Okay. This is a site for an organization called Gaki Global, and Donato and I did the site for them. They have really great visuals. This was a situation where one of the people from the organization actually is a photographer, and she had these really nice visuals to work with. But those are super important. But I think this site is a great example of a lot of the points that I'm talking about here. So I'll talk a little bit about so the last point was donation button. So that's really important. You want to make sure that that button is really clear. Okay.
It looks like they've been messing around with it.
Yeah, it looks like they have an extra donate button. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. We'll have to email them. If on your slide that you had, it shows what it's supposed to look like. So it looks like the client was messing
so
with it.
You don't need two donate buttons in
Yeah.
your navigation. I'm not sure what's happening there, but I did want to show that we did put a strip in here. It's in red. It's it's not overpowering, but it's pretty prominent. It is just below the fold, but it is pretty prominent. Want to help, support Gaki with your donation today. Click donate button. Really clear, organized, and I'm going to talk a little more about the site as well. But I'm going to jump to the next slide. Okay. All right. So part 2 is connecting with your audience. And you'll find I'm repeating a lot of the same points because they're really important. Okay. So use engaging, impactful visuals. Feature people, faces, and tell stories. So I'm going to jump back to this one. So in having faces is really important. I mean, not for necessarily every nonprofit, but I would say for most nonprofits, having faces rather than like scenery or something is really important because it's really going to engage your audience, and it's going to have them really connect more than it would with I don't know, picture of the sea or something. So, and again, the really impactful visuals, they should be, large, and they should be really front and center. They should tell a story about who it is you are, and what you do. So, we use visuals of children because it's a disease that affects infants and children, things like that. But, these are all,
You,
really nice visuals and
can you
engaging.
give any recommendations of where you would go for visuals for a lot of organizations that don't have the kind of photo access that this one did?
Yeah, I mean, I use iStock Photo, Dreams Time. Those are generally a little lower cost visuals.
Hmm.
If you want to, there's plenty of them out there. There's Getty, which is a little more, but Shutterstock is good for lower cost ones. I think those are like the 3 I would say. There's also a number of free sites out there that aren't bad.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know, Donato, I would have to kind of look at it, but I have a few of those bookmarked, but there are a few of them that you can get some half decent visuals out there.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so let's see. So we'll jump back to second point. Okay, so stories are really important. If you've ever, a lot of people will tell you this if you've looked at any other sort of nonprofit best practices, that you want to tell a compelling story. So what we did on this website, so if we scroll down a little farther down here, so you want to feature, if you can, I hate to call it a case study, but it would be something along those lines where, you take someone who's had a positive impact from the work you do and feature them. And it's great to feature them on your homepage. So yeah, with patient stories here, we set it up so you can read about all these different people, families that were impacted by this disease, and you can read their stories, and it's really has a great impact. Okay. So again, it's around inspiring people. You want to tell a story to inspire people. Why should they give you money? What is it that you do, and why what you do matters? Okay. Strong design encourages interaction. So keeping navigation clear, keeping it organized, just so people know where to click, and it's really makes it easy for them. Calls to action is going to encourage interaction. Here, which I would recommend, this is sort of our impact bar here. Why is it what you do matters? So we put stats in here. So really, it sort of gives a real number to what it is your organization is doing. And again, it has impact, and it's much more engaging than just saying, oh, we do great work. This actually says, okay, 1 in 200,000 people are affected by this disease. It's all around ways and why what you do matters. And let's see, so just, you know, obviously you want to keep your website up to date. You want to have a modern design, mobile friendly, have best SEO practices. You know, you want to make sure, it's really important these days that people can read your site on a read your website on a phone, because that's the majority of users are reading it on a phone these days. So you want to make sure, again, that people aren't having a frustrating experience when they're on their phone and on your website. You want to make sure that, you know, I would recommend having, again, these like wall-to-wall huge photos. They're really impactful. You know, if you look at some of the older sites, and there's a lot of them out there that, you know, were done, you know, 10 years ago, and they have these like tiny little, the width is really tiny. It's really outdated. You want to make sure like your sites are up to date, and it's going to, you know, look great on different machines. And you want to do some basic SEO practices. Would be great. Okay, so Donato, feel free to jump in if you want to add anything.
No, yeah, everything's pretty. I wasn't sure if you want me to jump in, but yeah, everything looks good, and I do think the We Are SA site has some really good examples, as well as Gaki on how to show featured story.
Yeah, so this was another site we did called Scholar Athletes. Again, it has a lot of the similar.
Yeah, if you want to show that, pull it up. I think we could point out the way that the button works. The donate, and then this was a site that had probably 10 or 11 navigation items when we took it over, and now it's down to, if you don't count about or the home tab, you have much fewer options, so it's very easy to navigate. The donate button is in bright red, and then there is more of a featured single story. Yep, got the stats, you got the featured story, so a lot of those big elements that you want to highlight as a nonprofit, right from the
stories,
start.
Yeah, so make sure, again, that your message is short and to the point. So people, as soon as people get on the site, they know exactly, okay, Scholar Athletes partners with public schools. You know pretty much what they do, and you don't have to go searching for it. And then, you know, if you want to scroll down, you get a little more about us, you get their impact, you get stories, you get an impactful, nice photo here, your messaging, nice headline on each of the banner photos. Okay. All right, so I will jump to the last part. So once you hopefully have a great website up, and it's up and running, and it's working, and it's engaging your audience, you want to keep it up there, and you want to make sure that people come back, and give them reason to come back to your website. So you can do that by building a strong brand identity. Build your presence online, in print and beyond. Continue to highlight your organization's positive impact. Continue to raise awareness for your mission. So you want to keep them coming back, and you can do that by creating ongoing, engaging content that encourages visitors to return, such as blogs, articles, company news, resources, events, how to get involved, and donations. And you want to also continue to, I'm guilty of not being great at this, but it's definitely a good idea to keep on social media, and keep posting, keep having articles, keep talking about, things that your organization is up to, through social media, through blogs, through outreach, HTML emails, newsletters. All things like that are really, really important. Let's see. So let's see if I go back to Gaki, for example. So they have a lot of resources and community stuff here. And yeah, they have fact sheets. They have all sorts of stuff that, anybody who's interested in this will does have reason to come back to the site, and they do think they keep the blog updated, things like that. So, okay, so I think that is sort of what I wanted to talk about, and we'll just jump into questions in a moment. Just wanted to reiterate, just in closing, please, thanks everyone for joining. We'll definitely be taking some questions now, but if you have further questions, I'd be happy to chat with anyone. If you want to add me on LinkedIn or check out my website, here's my information. And of course, Donato sent his information as well.
Mainly in closing, kind of highlighting stories, making your website very easy to navigate, very easy to navigate, and if you can highlight stories, that's ideal. And and obviously serving many audiences. So we have some time for questions. So I'm going to look at the, if you want to raise your hand, ask a question, I can allow you to talk. Or if you want to chat in your question, you can do that as well. It can be really anything related to design and nonprofits, and we can pull up some more samples and keep going through it. Does anybody want to add anything on or ask for additional information about anything we talked about? I think Suzanne, I'm going to allow you to talk. All right, Suzanne, you should be able to speak now. You may be muted.
Mute myself. Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah,
great.
we can hear you.
Hi, Suzanne.
Yeah. I know. Adam. I was thrilled to know that he was the guest speaker today because I think he's really talented and capable and easy to work with.
Great.
And of course you are too, Donato, because I know you too. So my question is, if you can explain, because I don't know who's here listening in, if this was a new client that wanted to come to you, talk about the steps involved, how to kick off the job. I find I know somewhat what it is, but I always resort to you guys for the web stuff. But other people, if you could make it just little steps, how they approach you, what should they come and ask you about, just to kick off the job, so you're not such a strange entity for people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Donato, I'll let you fill that one actually.
Yeah, so with all of our clients, we've been following a pretty regimented, organized process for our web design projects. We do the first one is more of a kickoff and scheduling and setting up a project plan with a launch date. So that's a pretty easy one, and then Adam also provides them with a pre-web design questionnaire, which has lots of higher level detailed questions about who the audiences are, what are some reference websites that they like, what is it they like about them, what is it that they don't like, and then also some additional questions that build off of that. And then, so the first meeting that we have after that, just basically scheduling meeting where we're setting up all the milestones and the key steps of the process. The next meeting is the kickoff session where we review all their answers and give our input. And then that's where we really figure out and get a rough idea of like higher level, what kind of website are we building? Who are we building it to cater to? What are the key audiences? And what are the main goals to kind of keep those in mind? And then from there, we move on to the information architecture session, which is another separate working session meeting. Our whole process is very collaborative so that we get to know a deep understanding of the organization, the goals, and how we can help. So we move on to that step where we're figuring out the sitemap and exactly what pages the site's going to have and how that information should be organized into a nice intuitive navigation bar and general web layout. And then we'll move on from there, move on to wireframes. For larger projects, we do wireframe more than just the homepage. For smaller ones, we really just need to do the homepage wireframe. and we come up with the layout and the look and feel of basically how things are going to be on the page and in what priority order, and to make it easy to use and then once that's approved, Adam then takes it to design and comes up with design concepts. So by that time, we know we have the information organized and set up exactly how the organization needs in order to accomplish their goal and their mission. And then we're just designing it to be very professional, very great website. And from there, that's usually when basically we build out the rest of the website once that design is approved, go through that process, do testing and training so that the client can manage it on their own, and then they're done with the site, and then hopefully we move on to servicing them in other ways once it's all done. Does that kind of give you a little idea of how we do that?
Yes, because first of all, to me, it helps people realize there's a lot involved.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact finding that you go through, sometimes I bet a client comes to you not knowing really what they're even looking for. They just know they have this business, in this case nonprofit, and you actually probably help find the aspects of it that really bring out the very best.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very, very helpful. Quickly though, is this WordPress that you like to work in overall?
Yeah.
When you work with people, you always do a WordPress thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Most of
custom WordPress sites.
Yeah, most of the nonprofit sites we do are with WordPress, and the only time we use a different platform is typically for e-commerce sites. But we haven't really worked with, or I haven't worked with any nonprofits that have a significant e-commerce need.
Now, if I send someone to you that has they've done something on a different, not a WordPress, but something else like Wix, you can certainly take on the job and reinvent it, reconfigure it, recreate it somehow. You can transition for these people, these clients, because that's a big fear that I run into. Say, oh, well, I only use Wix, well, I can't use WordPress. So you do have a way of handling that situation.
Yeah, most of the process and the value we deliver when it comes to planning out the website and kind of coaching to create a web strategy is all done before we even pick the platform we're going to build the site with. So we prefer WordPress because it's not as limited as like a Wix, where you can't really do as much customization wise, but you can still create a very effective website that's going to accomplish the goals for most nonprofit sites. So then that wouldn't be an issue.
Okay. Well, I've asked a lot of questions, and I thank you. I'm sure somebody.
Thanks for joining.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Let's see. So Suzanne's done. And we just had a chat come in from, where did the chat go? Linda. Yeah, Linda, we've done some work with you. I agree your site probably needs a more significant update. Probably the next step would be to set up just a free consultation call with myself and Adam, and we can go over kind of what you have in mind, and then see where that takes us, if that sounds good to you. I'm going to put a note down to send you an email about getting that set up.
Yeah, I'd be happy to chat with anyone who's on the call now, if they have any questions or about anything.
Yeah, Linda says she has a lot of downs. This is a good time, like you said, Adam, to focus on this when we all have a little more time than we usually have available. I know we've been pretty busy with what we had in our pipeline, but just the time saved driving to the office and not doing in-person meetings has added time onto my schedule, so it's been nice. I have been wanting to do webinars for like the last year when I originally signed up for Zoom, and never really started doing them until this all happened. So, all right, anybody else want to raise their hand and speak their question, or just type it into the chat? I'll keep it open for another minute or so, and if we don't hear anything, I would just close out this. And then we did record the webinar, so I'll be sending that out to everybody so you can rewatch anything that you think we went too fast on, and then we'd be happy to to follow up. We are available for a free consultation call to go over specific questions if it's not something you necessarily want to say to the group. All right, so I see everybody here. It doesn't look like there are any more questions. One person asks if we're planning on more webinars, and yes, I've been doing almost a weekly webinar. They're not all geared specifically towards nonprofits, but I think that almost most of the content that we put out on webinars is relevant to nonprofits as well. We're going to have another webinar coming up. I think I'm going to do this one 2 weeks out because it's a very high-end speaker that he's one of my clients. He's an executive coach, and he has more time on his hands because he doesn't have to drive to Boston 3 times a week from New Hampshire. And he's going to be speaking on, I believe the topic we're selecting is measuring performance from afar. So a lot of us are not typically used to managing employees remotely, let alone measuring their performance remotely. So I think that is a concern that a lot of business owners have, and probably executive directors as well. You know, you have your employees and you want to make sure that they're working and still being effective, even in a smaller role than maybe they usually have. So I think that's a pretty good topic, where there's been a million webinars about how to manage your team remotely, but I haven't seen many on how to measure your team's performance remotely. So that's going to be that next webinar. And I'll be sending out notifications to everyone about future webinars so you can join in. And there is a post webinar survey that you're going to be redirected to after this ends. And one of the fields on that is ideas for future webinars and topics, because I'm going to run out of them, I'm sure, at some point. So if there is a topic that you'd like to see covered, that's definitely one I want to get on. And yeah, as far as nonprofit goes, I guess the next one I would do is I have a contact, Julia Campbell, who specializes in nonprofit communications, and I'd love to get her on for one. So I'm going to try to get her
Yeah, she's
on
great.
the schedule. Yeah. All right. So I'll get another. If there aren't any more questions, I think we'll wrap it up. And thank you everyone for attending. Thank you, Adam, for taking the time to share your tips. And we'll look forward to hopefully setting up a consultation call with anybody who didn't get their question in today and wants to talk to us. All right. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Aaron.
Have a good day.
Thanks enough.
All right. Bye.
Bye.